So I'm going to show you guys a very simple method of how you guys could gather together and do church together. So it's based on 7 questions, and we call it the Discovery Group Bible Study Method. So each question is essential to apply essential elements of the church as well. So when you guys meet together, one person could facilitate the group, and the person who's facilitating, his role is not to teach, but to simply facilitate, ask questions, and facilitate the discussion. So the first question, when you guys gather together, the first question that you could ask each other is, what are you thankful for today? Thankful. Yeah, I can't finish it, but what are you thankful for today? So everybody could answer the question. For example, like you could ask, like this week, did God do anything that you're thankful for? Like God gave me a promotion, or God used me to share the gospel to someone, and I'm thankful for that. So it's a good way to give praise to God. Number 2, challenges. What are your challenges? And everybody could answer, is there anything that challenged you this week, or is there anything that stressed you out, or are you going through anything in particular? Because sometimes when we meet together, some people have things going on, and it's good to be there for one another so that we can pray for each other. For example, some people may be struggling emotionally or financially. Some people may be going through a sickness, or so many times there are challenges within our group. And this allows us to take a time to encourage each other, be there for one another, pray for one another, which goes on to my next question is, what can we do to respond to these challenges? Or how can we respond? Let me change that. Oh yeah, it's wet.
That's wet. Let's go down.
So how can we respond to these challenges? Like, what can we do for each other practically? Whether it's simply praying, or whether it's if someone is going through a financial situation, let's take up an offering to help this brother or sister. Take a time during the week we can meet up so that we can pray with each other. So you can do anything to respond to these challenges. So after you go through these first 2 questions, we can read a passage. So let's say, for example, today we're reading Acts chapter 2, the one we just read. So let's say, read passage. So let's say, for example, today we're going to read Acts chapter 2, 36 to 47. When you read the passage, it's good to have 2 people read the passage out loud, ideally in 2 different translations, so that everybody could understand what they're reading. After we 2 people read it and we all listened to the word, it's good to have everybody also paraphrase the passage in their own words. So simply re-say what the passage says. So they're not interpreting it or not adding other passages, but simply saying it in your own words. And it's good to do that to help people to be able to share the word, but also to understand it, and also to make sure that we stay focused on the word and not on different interpretations or go on different tangents, but really focusing on the passage at hand. And it helps us to also duplicate the same process, right? After that, the next questions is the Dbg questions that you're familiar with. So what does it teach us about God? What does this passage teach us about God? And then after everybody answers, what does it teach us about God? Number 5 is, what does it teach us about people? Everybody answers, what does it teach us about people? And then the last 2 questions are going to be the commitment questions, which are very, very important. You're going to ask what can we do to respond to this passage, or how can we obey this passage? So here, it's important that we give a measurable commitment so that we could keep each other accountable on how we obeyed it this week. So for example, this week, let's say because I read Acts chapter 2, they were praying. So this week I want to pray at least 1 hour per day, right? That's like a measurable action step, right? I like to use the acronym SMART, which is specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-bound within a specific time, right? So how can we obey the passage? And then finally is, who can we share with? Yeah. So who can we share with? So here, either we could share the passage that we read, which is also helpful when we paraphrase it in our own words. It's easy for us to share it with somebody. Or we could share the gospel. Right? I think it's good to, if we're already born again, baptized believers, and we know how to share the gospel, it's good to make a commitment to write down who you will share the gospel to this week. So it could be someone in your circle of influence, friend, family, coworker. Just make a commitment to share the gospel to at least one person this week. Or if someone is not yet comfortable with sharing the gospel, they could simply share the passage that we read. Say, call a friend, say, hey, I simply wanted to share what I learned this week in my home church, and share the passage. So that's it. Those are the 7 questions, and it's good because it's very easy to duplicate. Anybody could do it. You don't have to be a scholar or a theologian or a pastor to duplicate this process. All you got to do is ask the questions, read the passage, and facilitate. And every one of these questions are essential in the sense that they all apply essential elements. For example, what are you thankful for? It helps people to worship God, right? To keep a spirit of worship. Or you could even worship God instead of doing this process. What are your challenges? So this encourages pastoral care, being there for one another, loving one another. How do we respond? Again, it encourages us to love and help each other practically. And then you read the passage, which is focusing on the word, ask what does it say about God, what does it say about people. This allows us to grow closer to God, and also to understand people, understand the sinful nature of people, to lead people closer to God. And then the last 2 I would say are the most important, because we want to be obedient disciples of Jesus. We don't want to just be hearers of the word, right? We want to be doers of the word. So we commit to obeying the passage every week. How will we obey this week? And also we want to go out and share the gospel, which is also an essential element, is to go make disciples and to multiply. And so we want to share the gospel every week. And then the following week, you will always ask the accountability questions, which is very important. The accountability questions is, did you do what you said you were going to do last week? And did you share with who you were going to share this week? And I would call that part a loving accountability, right? Because we want to give grace always, right? But also keep each other accountable without being judgmental or harsh, right? And always ask that question because it allows us to keep each other accountable and help each other, encourage each other unto good works, encourage each other to obey the word and to share the gospel every week. So that's it. Those are the 7 questions. It's a good tool that you could use, and that anybody could do. Anybody in the group could lead the meeting with these 7 questions. Yeah.